Have you ever wondered why, even if you align your desires with good intentions, reality is slow to reciprocate? Despite all the hype about manifestation and the power of the mind, there seems to be something that isn't often said. There is a gap between what you desire and what you actually experience. This gap is not failure. It is the space where transformation takes place. And this is exactly where most people give up. Neuroscience studies indicate that more than 90% of our daily decisions are controlled by ingrained subconscious patterns. Harvard Medical School, 2022. In other words, even if you consciously say, "I want prosperity," your unconscious may be operating on the frequency of scarcity, and it is in this disharmony that the universe begins to act, but not as an enemy. It responds like a mirror, a subtle reflection of what you authentically vibrate, not what you say in words, but what you feel to be true. Manifestation is not magic in the Hollywood sense. It's not about asking and receiving. It is an ancient spiritual technology present in many cultures, which operates on a much deeper logic. And this logic says you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. Modern physics has already confirmed that everything in the universe vibrates at a certain frequency. According to the principle of resonance, when two frequencies tune in, the phenomenon of possibility collapsing into reality occurs. This means that the universe responds, yes, but not to your wish list. It responds to your vibrational identity. So the real question is not what do you want, but who are you being while you want this? It is this energetic identity that becomes your signal to the universe. And that signal can't be fooled. If you vibrate scarcity, even if you desire wealth, reality will only return more scarcity because that's what your field is emitting. Now here's something that few have the courage to say. When you start to change, when you start to reprogram your energy, the first signs that appear are not abundance or immediate happiness. Most of the time, what appears first is resistance, chaos, and even loss. This is because your old self, accustomed to limiting patterns, goes into rebellion. The brain, when confronted with intense change, interprets this as a threat. It prefers known pain to unknown pleasure. Scientists call this emotional homeostasis. It's as if your mind is trying to protect you from a better version of yourself. Paradoxical, no, but extremely human. This is where the real journey begins. The universe at this point isn't denying your desires. It's testing your consistency. It's asking, do you really want this, or do you just like the idea of it? These tests are not obstacles. They are portals. Each challenge that appears is an invitation to grow, a question disguised as a problem. Are you willing to let go of who you were to become who you need to be? That's the essence of manifestation. It's not just about what you visualize, but about what you're willing to leave behind, because the new cannot be born in the same mental space where the old still rules. That's why real manifestation begins with a collapse, an internal dismantling, a symbolic death of the previous version of you, and that for many is frightening. But for those who remain, for those who understand the process, it becomes the greatest sign that they are on the right path. There is no harvest without breaking up the earth. There is no flowering without pruning. True manifestation begins in the darkness of transition. When you initiate a profound change, something invisible begins to happen inside you. It's not just new thoughts or new attitudes. It's a direct confrontation between what you want to become and what you used to be. This tension, this discomfort, is often interpreted as a sign that something is wrong. But what if it's exactly the opposite? What if the discomfort is confirmation that the old is being dismantled? Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, a state where two internal systems come into conflict, the old trying to maintain control and the new wanting to emerge. Spirituality, on the other hand, interprets this phenomenon as energetic rebellion. It's a time when old patterns struggle to survive. And the more intense this resistance, the clearer the proof that you are on the verge of a real transformation. This phenomenon happens because your body, mind, and energy field have been trained for years to operate at a specific vibration. If you've spent your life believing that you're not good enough, that money is scarce, that love is difficult, then these beliefs have created neural pathways in your brain and electromagnetic waves around you. When you start affirming the opposite, I am enough, abundance flows to me, I deserve to be loved, your internal system reacts. Not because these statements are false, but because they are not yet familiar. And the brain, in its ancestral programming, associates the unknown with danger. The result? Resistance arises, obstacles, tiredness, doubts, relapses. But that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're reprogramming. It means that the old system is disintegrating. And like any collapsing system, it manifests itself with noise before disappearing. This is where many people give up, because they confuse discomfort with failure, because they interpret the lack of immediate results as evidence that nothing is working. But what if, instead of retreating, you learn to recognize this moment as a sign that you are on the edge of evolution? According to studies in behavioral neuroscience, the most critical phase of change is precisely the moment of transition, when the new behavior has not yet been consolidated and the old behavior has not yet been completely dissolved. This liminal state is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also fertile. This is where the new self is born. It is at this very point that the choice becomes sacred. You can give in to the old vibration or remain in the new field, even without immediate proof. And this permanence, this silent yes in the face of chaos, is what the universe recognizes as vibrational faith. Now imagine this scenario as an energetic metaphor. The old you is like a tenant who has lived in the same space for years. Suddenly, a new resident, your new self, tries to move in. The old tenant doesn't want to leave. He slams doors, makes noise, tries to convince you that the space is his. But the more the new one stands firm, the more the old one loses strength. And at some point, inevitably, it leaves. This image serves as a reminder that resistance is a sign of transition. That chaos is a prelude to order. That instability is the last breath before rebirth. So the next time you feel conflicted, celebrate, because it means you're on the move. It means that your old self is disintegrating to make way for your next version. And believe me, that version is already ready. It's just waiting for you to choose it, day after day, thought after thought. If manifestation doesn't respond to what you want, but to what you are, then the key to creating a new reality lies in consciously becoming the version of yourself that already lives what you want to experience. This isn't just a spiritual philosophy, it's a strategy validated by modern studies into neuroplasticity. Researchers at Ohio University found that mentally simulating behaviors with intense emotional involvement activates the same brain circuits as a real experience. In other words, by mentally practicing the ideal version of yourself, you literally train your brain to accept it as your identity. And when identity changes, reality follows. The universe, as a reflection of your vibration, reorganizes external circumstances to align with this new frequency. But be careful. It's not enough to visualize. You have to inhabit this version with authenticity and constancy. Now imagine your realized self, not just as a pretty picture, but as a complete being. How does it wake up? How does it react to problems? What does it prioritize? What is his body language? What does he tolerate? And what does he no longer accept? By asking these questions, you activate a bridge between the present and the future. This bridge isn't metaphysical, it's neurological. Your brain doesn't completely distinguish between what is real and what is simulated with emotion. So if you start acting and reacting like your millionaire self, cured self, full self. Even before you have the money, the cure, or the result, the vibrational field around you will start to change. It's like sending a new signal to the universe. This is me now. And over time, reality reorganizes itself to reflect this. This exercise of embodying the new me is most powerful when applied in moments of tension. For example, you've received unexpected news, and your impulse would be to react with anger, fear, or scarcity. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, how would the higher self react now? Would it trust? Would it take a deep breath? Would it see opportunity in the obstacle? That little moment of self-awareness is where the quantum leap happens. It's not about denying the emotion. It's about reprogramming the response. Every time you choose to respond as the new you, even if it feels like an artificial effort, you are anchoring that identity. And the more often you repeat that choice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you're no longer just pretending to be your new self. You've become it, and reality has no choice but to go along with it. This practice also dissolves the old belief that you have to wait to be happy, to be confident, to feel secure. Most people live in a conditional pattern. When I have this, then I will be that. But the universe doesn't respond to the linear logic of the ego. It responds to the energy field of being, and being comes before having. This is the vibrational code of conscious manifestation. By deciding to be now what you once hoped to become in the future, you collapse time, you speed up the process, you anticipate results. Not because you forced the universe, but because you stopped resisting the natural flow of creation. You start operating as a conscious co-creator, not as a vibrational beggar, and that changes everything. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to celebrate when everything goes well, but hardly anyone celebrates the small, invisible advances? This is one of the biggest blockages on the manifestation journey. The illusion that only big results deserve to be appreciated. But what if the secret isn't in the result itself, but in how you behave every step of the way? Positive psychology has shown that the act of celebrating small victories releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and behavioral repetition. Dr. B.J. Fogg, Stanford Behavior Lab. This means that every time you recognize a breakthrough, however small, you strengthen the new mental and emotional pattern. In other words, celebration is not just a symbolic gesture, but a strategic tool for consolidating the new you. And the more you reinforce this vibration of achievement, the more the universe responds with synchronicities and aligned opportunities. Celebrating in this context doesn't mean throwing big parties or showing off achievements on social media. Celebrating can be something simple, internal, silent, like a smile in the mirror, a thank you before bed, or a moment of appreciation for having dealt with something differently. These subtle gestures signal to your subconscious that something has changed, that you now value the process, not just the arrival, that you are present on the path and not just running after the destination. This state of presence transforms your vibration. Instead of emitting scarcity, I don't have it yet, I'm not there yet, you start emitting completeness. I'm already on the path, I'm already becoming. And this change in frequency alters everything. The universe, sensitive to vibrational subtleties, begins to conspire in your favor in a more direct and frequent way. It is at this point that one of the greatest leaps in consciousness comes, understanding that every step forward is as sacred as the finish line. Most people ignore this, waiting for the big day, the turning point. But what if the big day is now? What if the turning point happens just when you decide to recognize that you're already on the move? When you honor the process, you signal to the universe that you are ready, that you are vibrationally compatible with the reality you want. And when this compatibility strengthens, the collapse of reality, what we call manifestation, becomes inevitable. That's because you're no longer just trying to attract something from outside, you're allowing something from within to reveal itself. And this is exactly what makes celebration a catalyst. It anchors the frequency of the already realized. Imagine now that each gesture of gratitude is like a vote of confidence deposited in the vibrational bank of the universe. With each vote, you increase the balance of your new identity. And the higher this balance, the greater the strength of the reality that will be mirrored back to you. It's like an energetic feedback loop. You vibrate joy and achievement, and you receive more reasons to rejoice and achieve. This creates a virtuous cycle of manifestation, where the process becomes a source of pleasure, not just expectation, where the path is as noble as the destination. And when this awareness takes hold, something profound changes. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start declaring. You no longer ask the universe to bring. You invite it to co-create. There comes a time in every manifestation journey when everything seems to clash. You're practicing affirmations, visualizations, holding positive thoughts, but all around you things seem to get out of hand. Disagreements arise, money is delayed, fear returns, and you start to wonder, am I doing everything wrong? But the truth is that this is the most decisive moment of your journey. This is what we call the vibrational crossroads, the instant when you have to choose which version of yourself will lead your reality. The old self, conditioned by scarcity, doubt and survival, or the new self, guided by confidence, purpose and expansion. This crossroads is not a mistake by the universe. It is a test of vibrational consistency. And like any test, it requires presence, courage, and decision. During this moment, your energy is at an unstable point. It's like being at a crossroads where every thought is an arrow, pointing to a different future. A thought of fear can reactivate patterns you were already abandoning. A thought of faith can open up a new timeline, even if it's still invisible. That's the power of vibrational free will, the right to decide, even without external proof, which energy you want to anchor. And here's the profound part. The universe doesn't respond to what you feel fleetingly, but to what you sustain, even in the midst of chaos. This is where manifestation begins to differ from fantasy, because here there is no more room for illusions, only for internal commitment. It's important to understand that when you reach this crossroads, discomfort is inevitable. This is because the new me is still being integrated and the old me is still trying to resist. Imagine it like two radio waves trying to occupy the same frequency. For a while, you'll hear noise, interference, contradiction. But the more you align yourself with the new tuning, even without immediate results, the clearer the transmission becomes. The secret is to remaining at peace even when there is doubt. Remaining grateful even when there is scarcity. Standing firm even when everything around you is screaming at you to give up. Because it's in that moment of permanence that the universe receives the final message. He's ready. She has understood. They vibrate the new. And here comes a key concept. Emotional reactivity is the fuel of the old self. Whenever you react with fear, criticism, comparison, or anxiety, you are feeding patterns that you wanted to abandon. But when you choose to observe without reacting, when you breathe before deciding, when you respond with awareness, you are creating new energy trails. You are hacking your vibrational field and taking control of your frequency. And that, for the universe, is irresistible, because now you're no longer just asking, you are becoming. And when you become, you magnetize. You don't have to chase after it. The new circumstances start to revolve around you like satellites around a new gravitational center. So, when you recognize that you're facing a vibrational crossroads, celebrate. Because that's the sign that you're about to collapse into a new reality. This is the point where many give up, but it's also where the conscious flourish. Take a deep breath. Choose the new you, even if it still seems far away. It's not far away. It's here, being sculpted with every choice you make, and the more you honor it with your energy, the faster it becomes your truth. When you cross the vibrational crossroads and choose, day after day, to sustain the frequency of your new self, something silent but profound begins to happen. The universe, which until then had seemed defiant, begins to respond differently. Little signs start to appear. Unexpected conversations, unusual opportunities, creative ideas that didn't exist before. These aren't mere coincidences, they're vibrational feedbacks. They are energetic responses from reality, indicating that the new frequency is gaining strength. But beware, these signals often come discreetly, camouflaged in simple events. The ego expects a great miracle, but the universe whispers first. Therefore, what differentiates those who manifest from those who merely wish is the ability to perceive the invisible, to recognize that realignment has begun, not because everything has suddenly changed, but because you have. And this change is the real turning point. At this stage, the challenge is no longer to initiate the transformation, it's to maintain it, because maintaining a new vibration requires attention, consistency, and awareness. Remember, external reality is a mirror of your internal coherence. Every time you return to the old emotional pattern, you send the universe an ambiguous message. But when you commit to your new identity, even when no one is watching, even when nothing seems to have changed, you create energetic stability. And stability is the language that the universe understands as readiness. It's like saying, I am this, I don't just want this. And when this degree of coherence is achieved, the universe stops testing and starts delivering, not out of pity, not out of magic, but out of resonance. You become compatible with what was already yours, but was beyond your previous frequency. At this point, it's essential to cultivate a state called vibrational flow. This is when you no longer push, run, or demand, you simply align. And this alignment comes from a place of silent trust. You act with intention, but without anxiety. You wish, but you don't beg. You dream, but you no longer sabotage yourself. Studies in performance psychology show that states of flow are linked to increased creativity, perception of expanded time, and heightened feelings of purpose. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, 2014. And in the field of manifestation, this state is the gateway to real co-creation. Here, you are no longer alone. You merge with universal intelligence. Your decisions become inspired. Your presence makes an impact. Your field begins to attract, not just react. But perhaps the most powerful insight of this whole journey is to understand that the real miracle wasn't the money that arrived, the relationship that manifested, or the healing that took place. The real miracle was your transformation. The greatest gift of manifestation is not what you receive, it's who you become by sustaining that creation. Because now you know you are able to choose your reality, to shape your frequency, to transform yourself from the inside out. And when this awareness takes hold, you no longer live in expectation of an ideal future, you live in communion with it. You begin to trust in divine time, to celebrate each cycle, to honor each silence, because you understand that deep down, manifestation isn't about achieving something, it's about expressing who you really are. So, if you've made it this far, know this: you're not just watching a video, you're activating a new timeline. And that timeline doesn't depend on anyone but you. It starts with a thought, is fueled by coherent emotions, and is solidified with aligned actions. And now that you know this, the universe is already responding. It always has been, just waiting for you to become clear enough to notice. Manifestation doesn't begin in the external world. It begins when you decide to be the truest, highest, and most powerful version of yourself. And the rest just falls into place. It's time to be realistic. You don't need more information. What you need is aligned action. Everything that has been said so far points to a truth that many people ignore. The universe is not going to make decisions for you. It does, but only after you lead. What's missing isn't energy, opportunity, or luck. What's missing is constancy, clarity, and above all, the willingness to sustain your new stance even when no one believes it, not even you. This may sound harsh, but it's exactly this mentality that separates those who live waiting from those who really manifest. And if you're hearing this now, it means you're ready to stop waiting. It doesn't matter how long you've been trying to change your reality. What matters is what you decide to do now, because the truth is simple. Manifestation is not a game of pretty words or positive thoughts thrown to the wind. It's about emotional discipline, focus, and intelligent action. You can keep feeding the same stories that keep you in the same place, or you can break that cycle today. Yes, today. You may not be able to control everything that happens around you, but you can certainly decide how you're going to react. And that choice, however small it may seem, has more creative power than any mystical ritual or empty affirmation. If you've come this far expecting a miracle secret, then here it is. The secret is to stop sabotaging yourself. It's to stop telling yourself that it's not time yet, that you need more preparation, or that life will give you a sign. The sign has already come. It's in front of you. It's that message, this moment, this choice. And if you don't decide now, the pattern continues. The same days, the same excuses, the same results. But if you do decide, everything changes. And it doesn't change because something magical happens outside of you. It changes because the way you act, think, and position yourself sends a new order into reality, an order of priority, an order of arrival. So here's the bottom line. You have two routes. Either you go back to the old version of yourself, the one that lives waiting, hesitating, and questioning, or you move forward as someone who has understood that there is no ideal time. There is only action, aligned, decided, intentional. And for those who live like this, the universe ceases to be a mystery and becomes an ally, because it doesn't work with doubt, it works with definition, and you set the course. Now it's up to you. If this content made sense, don't stop here. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content. Now, watch this next video where I show you another essential step to change your reality.